The other side of this, however, is that John Harbaugh, as I told you last Thursday, might be coaching his final home game. They end now with 2 on the road, and there's still a path to the postseason, but the Steelers would have to lose both, and Week 18 is against the Ravens here. But they blew that lead. They are 7-8, 6 of 9 at home. Lamar Jackson is banged up. He's been banged up all year. He missed 3 games. He's missed practice. I mean, we've lost how many times. We've lost count of how many times he has missed practice. He's been knocked out of 3 different games. The guy's like, I'm not blaming him for being hurt, but something seems off here, guys. And in year 18, John Harbaugh is on the podium today getting asked 7 different questions, Frank, about why Keaton Mitchell started the final drive and not Derrick Henry, about why Rashad Bateman can't get going, about why you can't protect a lead. He was asked multiple questions about your job security. How often do you speak to Steve Bisciotti? I thought, Frank, he had a great line. Harbaugh, 63 years old, 18 years in the job, said, I try to do the job, not keep the job. Thought that was good perspective here, but you do have to ask, is it time?
And I think at this point it might be. And remember all those Mike Tomlin conversations we were having 2-3 weeks ago? Well, just replace the name John Harbaugh. Like, it's the exact same thing where you say John Harbaugh has put together a Hall of Fame resume. There's no questioning what John Harbaugh has done for the Ravens. He's been fantastic. He was, I think, often overshadowed because he was in the same conference as Bill Belichick, but he was one of the best coaches in the NFL and has been for almost 2 decades now. But you get to a point where you're just like, maybe the message is stale. Maybe we need a change. I don't think there's any question, although Lions are in the conversation, that the Ravens are the most disappointing team in the NFL this year. They've been really bad. The Lions are just losing to good teams and can't get any consistency going. The Ravens have simply been bad. And that's not just with Lamar Jackson out. Like, even when Lamar Jackson's been in the lineup, admitting that he has been banged up and he hasn't been 100%, they haven't even been good when Lamar's in there. And it just, everything has gone wrong for the Ravens. And you touched on a few of those things that John was asked about today. Even like the defense has been really, really bad this year and hasn't gotten going. The improvements that they made last year, that made them one of the best teams in the NFL, that's not happening anymore. And when you look at John Harbaugh's resume, great, of course, they rarely have had any losing seasons under him, kind of like Tomlin. But the playoff success hasn't been there. The same thing with Tomlin when we're talking about you haven't won this many playoff games since this year, blah, blah, blah. The same thing applies to John Harbaugh. Go look. I mean, we're talking about Lamar Jackson, one of the great quarterbacks of all time, really. And I'll say that. I'll continue to say that. Has not made a Super Bowl. Well, doesn't John Harbaugh have to answer for that too? They've had so many playoff disappointments, and it always goes on Lamar's shoulders. Everybody says, oh, Lamar didn't come up in the big spot, blah, blah, blah. Well, neither has John Harbaugh. Since that Super Bowl so many years ago with Flacco, the playoff success has really been lacking, even though the regular season success has been there. And I kind of do think, I think the Ravens are going to miss the playoffs. I don't think they're going to have some miracle and beat the Steelers for the division. And at that point, I do think the Ravens and John Harbaugh part ways, just because, not because John Harbaugh is not a good coach anymore, but just because there's something amiss here. And I don't think the Ravens can waste any more time of Lamar Jackson's prime, which I don't think is going to last another 10 years. Remember, Cam Newton was kind of done at age 30. We need to treat Lamar differently, how long he has as a prime. I don't think he's going to be a prime quarterback at age 37, right? You can't keep wasting Lamar Jackson's prime saying, well, maybe this is the year John Harbaugh gets it back together. I think the Ravens have to act right now.
First off, the Cam Newton comparison, I mean, Lamar, definitely the injuries have piled up this year and they've been an issue. Cam Newton probably was the most hit quarterback in terms of just taking absolute punishment top to bottom. So I think it'll be a little bit deeper than Cam in terms of how long he can carry his prime. But I think it's a good point. You've wasted a lot of his prime. And if you're Steve Bisciotti, the owner now, I think if they don't make the playoffs, I think you have to sit there and say, okay, now let me look at this. I've had this head coach. I've had this quarterback who's won a couple of MVPs the last few years, right? I went out and I got the piece in Derrick Henry that we needed. I've spent on the offensive line. We've had a high-end, elite-level tight end. We've had a defense that we've spent on. Roquan Smith is out there. Kyle Hamilton's out there the last couple of seasons. The money has been invested. The parts have been added to try and get them over the top. And you never sniffed a Super Bowl in that span. I think if you're Steve Bisciotti and you see this window close, which I think if they miss the playoffs, to me, that's it. The window's closed. You have closed the window officially, at least this window. You have to say to yourself, what else could I have done? I did everything I could do in terms of adding pieces and giving him everything. And last year should have been the year, or the year before that should have been the year. And ultimately, they weren't able to get there for whatever the circumstances. A Zay Flowers fumble, you can blame it on whatever you want over the last couple of seasons. It just didn't happen. And now Lamar is getting more beat up. I'm looking afield and I'm seeing other teams making coaching changes, and they're sparking their franchise, right? They're seeing results from change. I just think the window closing, to me, is the biggest reason why Steve Bisciotti now would stare at this and go, okay, we didn't even make the playoffs here. We have not been able to reach a Super Bowl with, I think, arguably the very best quarterback in the league. If you average out the years that he's played in Lamar Jackson, something's got to change now at this point. And we've receded to the point of not even getting the postseason. It's change for the sake of trying to jumpstart things.
Yeah, and like I've said 1,000 times, and it was Brian Billick who told me this years ago, who preceded John Harbaugh in Baltimore, and he had a decade. He said after a while, you just feel like the message isn't there anymore, and it is time for everybody to move on. I love John Harbaugh, I truly do. I think he's a great coach. I wonder in this cycle if they were to part ways, and I think it would be an amicable parting of the ways. Would somebody else jump on him? Does he want to do TV? He's 3. Does he need a year off? His record there is 179 and 112. So regular season winning percentage of 615, 12 trips to the playoffs, a winning record in the playoffs, 13 and 11. Most people can't say that. And since they drafted Lamar Jackson in 2018, and that year they split, Flacco started 9 games and Lamar started 7. Since they drafted him, double-digit win seasons in 6 of 7 years. So they've won over and over and over again, but they have not yet been able to get over the hump.